So today we're going to talk about parameter or graph changes. Okay, so graph changes. And what this basically means is what happens if you change a slope or you change a y-intercept. Okay, so before we do that, we need to really look at like the actual just notes first. So we have y equals mx plus b. And this m, if you remember, I actually want you to write that down. The m means slope. Okay, and this b, the number not with x, is the y-intercept. Okay, so slope and y-intercepts. Well, let's talk about changes of m, or changes of slope. Okay, the first thing you need to know about a change of slope is if the number gets closer to 0. If the number gets closer to 0, the slope gets flatter, or you could write less steep, or something like that. Okay? Flatter or less steep. Okay? Now the opposite would be as the number gets further from 0, it gets steeper. Okay? Or your algebra teacher might say it gets more steep, or it gets inclined more. I mean, anything that basically means that it's going up. Okay? Now, I've noticed from previous years that this steep and steeper, less steep, confuses kids. So, 0 slope. This is 0. Right? 0 slope is a straight across line. 0 slope. So, if the slope number is getting further from 0, it's going to get steeper. Steeper, 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 steeper. Okay? And it's going to get close. Okay? And it could be negative. It could get steeper negative-wise. Alright? If it's getting closer to 0, so think, if this is 0 slope, if it's like this, and you're getting closer to 0, it's getting flatter or less steep. Okay? So there you go for the m. The b, the y-intercept. Okay? And all this does is it moves, this one's easier, like the y-intercept's easier, is it moves the graph up or down. And sometimes this is called a shift. Like it'll shift, they'll say like it shifts up or it shifts down. But the b doesn't change the line. Okay, the y-intercept, all it does is it moves it up or it moves it down. And that's it. Okay? And we're going to look at that today. So, a super important thing to remember. Super important thing to remember, okay? What I want you to remember is parallel. This is going to come up a lot. Parallel. Spell parallel right, because I always spell it wrong, and that's totally right. Okay? Parallel lines have the same slope. Okay? Parallel lines have the same slope. That is very, very, very important to remember, and it'll come back to us in a little bit. Okay? So keep that there. Alright. So here's the first thing. We're going to compare. So go ahead and just copy this down real quick. Alright. When they're asking you to compare two things, we need to compare the slope. So tell me what happens to the slope, and then tell me what happens to the y-intercept. That's what we are going to compare. Okay? So we're going to do the slope first. Here, the slope is 3. Remember, slope is the number with x. And here, the slope is 7. Okay? So we went from 3 to 7. So let's look at our notes here. This is the slope. Did that number get closer to 0 or further from 0? Okay? You were at 3 and now you're at 7. So did you get closer to 0 or further away from 0? You got further away from 0, right? So remember, further from 0 is steeper. So the first thing you're going to write is the line gets steeper. Okay? The line gets steeper, period. Super important. Alright, and then we're going to look at the y-intercept. Well, the y-intercept here is positive 4, and the y-intercept here is positive 4. Okay? it's the same, right? So you're just going to put same y-intercept. Okay? So from 3 to 7, it got steeper, and then the y-intercept is the same. Let me prove to you that that's true. So I'm just going to plug it in. 3x plus 4, if you can see it, and then 7x plus 4. It's hard to see on my calculator, but still. Alright, so we're going to graph the first line. It's going to cross at 4, and it's kind of steep. But this next line, it still crosses at 4, but it's steeper. Like it went from this to this. So it got a little steeper. Okay? Next example. Go ahead and pause and write it down. Alright, remember, we're comparing the slope and the intercept. So the first thing is the slope. Here the slope is 2, and here the slope is 2. Okay? So they have the same slope. It didn't get steeper or flatter. However, do not write same slope. You're going to write that the lines are parallel, because parallel lines have the same slope. So you're going to put the lines are parallel. Okay, the lines are parallel because they have the same slope. And then 2. The y-intercept is 4, and then the y-intercept is positive 2. So, from 4 to 2, did it go up or did it go down? And if you're not really good at this, this should be kind of easy. You can draw yourself a little y-axis with 0 there, and then make like a little thing. So if I'm at 4, I'm going down 2. So you're just going to put shift down 2. Okay? And that's done. Next one. Pause, write down. Okay? So, we're going to compare the slopes. -2 and -7. I know they're negatives, that's okay. But on a number line, if you were at 2 and then you went to 7, did that get closer to 0 or further from 0? And you get further away from 0 if you think of another line, a number line. So remember, grab my papers. If you're getting further from 0, you're getting steeper. Okay? So we're going to put line is steeper. And then you were at +3, and now you're at -4. Now for some of you, this is going to be hard to figure out the change. So the easiest way to do it is make a number line, right? So 0, 1, 2, 3, -1, -2, -3, -4. Easiest way to look is at a number line. So you are at +3, and I need to go to -4. So I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Line is steeper, and we shift down 7. Okay? Shift down 7. Alright. There's one more way that they could talk about this. We're going to do it real quickly, and then we're out of here. They could talk about replacing. So pause and write that down real quick. What would happen if you had y equals x plus 4, and you replace the 4 with a 12? Okay. So what you're going to do is I'm just going to rewrite this. So y equals x plus 4. And then I replace the 4 with a 12. So instead of a 4, I'm going to put y equals x plus, and it's positive 12, so 12. Okay, so you have to rewrite it twice, and then do the same thing we just did, compare them. Let's look at the slope. Here the slope is 1, and here the slope is 1. It's the same slope, but remember, if they're the same slope, you need to write that the lines are parallel. Okay? Second thing is the y-intercept was 4, and now it's positive 12. So did it go up or did it go down? And hopefully from 4 to 12 you know it went up. So shift up. Well, how much? 4, and you can count it, but 4, if you go up 8, it'll get you to 12. So shift up 8. Alright? Last one, and then we're done. Pause and write it down. What would happen to y equals 3x minus 1 if you replaced the 3 with a 1? Okay, so we're going to write it down. Y equals 3x minus 1. And we're going to replace the 3 with a 1. So y equals 1x minus 1. Okay? And we're going to compare just like we've done. So, first thing we're going to do is the slope. The slope is 3, and then it went down to 1. So did it get closer to 0 or further from 0? From 3 to 1. It gets closer to 0. Now remember, when you're talking about slope, if it gets closer to 0, it gets flatter or less steep. So I'm going to put the line gets, you can pick whatever you want. The line gets less steep. Okay? And then the last thing, number 2. The y-intercept here is -1, and the y-intercept here is -1. So you're just going to put same y-intercept. Or some people would put no shift. I don't care. Something like that. You'll see it. Okay? That's it. We're done. That's parameter changes. Ask questions. Get working.